Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to the garage. In this video, we'll have a quick look at the new Tier 7 and Tier 9 tank destroyers coming to Blitz in the new French line. Starting with the Tier 7, the AMX AC-46, a couple of impressions right off the hop. When I look at it from the frontal three-quarter view, I see a design that has obvious borrowings from the earlier German designs like the Jagdpanther. I also fancy that I see a likeness of Charles de Gaulle or maybe an Easter Island statue. I don't know, maybe it's the schnoz. Your mileage may vary on that one, just my impression. What I also see are two tumorous growths upon the top of the vehicle, one with a machine gun and one with a rangefinder sticking out of it. Roof boobs. Not only are these things unattractive, but they are scandalous weak points, and sadly this is a trait that continues on up the line. Let's get down to some hard facts now. Despite its ungainly appearance, the AC-46 has quite decent mobility with an 18.5 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio, allowing decent traverse of almost 40 degrees per second and an excellent top speed of 50 kilometers per hour. Alright, so let's have a look at the armor from the Tiger 1's perspective, a fellow Tier 7 tier mate. Hull armor shows 120 millimeters on a well-sloped upper frontal plate, and the lower plate is quite small, very well angled, and tucked away, making it a hard target to hit in the heat of battle. Still, regular AP from the L7188 is not inconvenienced by anything here. Switching to HE, the frontal plate cannot be penned or damaged, nothing but red there. The lower plate, the roof boobs, and the upper part of the gun mantlet are all susceptible to HE splash damage though. Side armor is completely pennable by the 88's HE ammo though, allowing a full damage roll. The rear armor also offers large areas pennable by the HE ammo, mostly on the upper plating. So, with these things in mind, I would not recommend hanging out on the front line, so you can conserve your 970 hit point health pool for when it is really needed. Once again, the gun is definitely a sweet spot on the vehicle with a 100mm AC SA-47. Rate of fire of 9 rounds per minute coupled with average damage on the AP rounds gives a really nice DPM rating of 2,796 hit points. Pretty darn good at Tier 7. When you find yourself up against a particularly tough opponent, you can load the spicy APCR and slice your way through 255mm of armor, but your average damage is reduced to 260 hit points. Aim time of 3.2 seconds and dispersion of only 0.321 ensure that you can get your shells on target. Standard view range is an average 250 meters, so for that extra edge you could upgrade to the improved optics. Gun depression does not appear to be anything extraordinary, and what I'm going to guess, just eyeballing it, is about 5 to 7 degrees. This vehicle should prove to be quite effective on the battlefield, I think, with great mobility and a great gun. Frontal armor is well sloped, 120mm thick, so it should afford you some protection if you can angle towards your attackers. Mind your flanks though, as they are quite weak and you can't always rely on your team to keep them clean. Tier 9 offering, the AMX 50 Foch, is also a well-appointed vehicle, sporting decent frontal armor, good mobility, and a decent Tier 10 gun. Frontal armor is well sloped and 180mm thick, with the sides and rear coming in at 50mm. The vehicle also has a much lower profile than the Tier 7 AC-46, which should help its camo rating. Sadly, the roof also has tumorous roof boobs, and they are also scandalous weak spots. Seen here from the E75's perspective with regular AP loaded, the frontal armor, while not outright red, is still fairly good, so E75 may still pen on occasion. The roof boobs, though, are completely pennable, and while much smaller than those atop the AC-46, they are still plenty big enough to hit reliably. Switching to HE, we can see that the frontal plating is all yellow and will only be subject to splash damage. The rangefinder, though, has a large portion that is completely pennable by the E75's HE ammo, which is really very disappointing. Moving to the side view, we can see that it is wide open to penetration by HE, and as well we can see here that the rear armor also offers large areas to be penetrated by HE, as does the rear of the rangefinder. Even though you have a 1550 hit point health pool, you will still want to keep your frontal armor pointed at your enemies and waggle your tank back and forth to make those weak spots as hard to hit as possible. On a more positive note, the Foch has a 21.92 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio, which is fantastic. Traverse speeds are just over 32 degrees per second, which is alright, and the top speed of 50 kilometers per hour lets the Foch get around the battlefield in a hurry, making you harder to hit and helping you to conserve your 1550 hit point health pool. The Tier 10 120mm AC SA-46 gun is quite good with an 8.58 round per minute rate of fire, as I have the tank loaded out. That and its 400 hit point average damage of the AP rounds gives it a DPM rating of 3,432 hit points. That's awesome. 260mm of penetration, dispersion of only 0.321, and an aim time of 4 seconds ensures that you can get your shell on target and maximize your DPM. Stock view range of 260 meters is alright, but you can crank that up to almost 287 meters with the improved optics upgrade. There is, however, no upgrade or perk that you can install for gun depression. Gun depression here on the Foch is not very good. I would estimate less than 5 degrees, so keep that in mind. Well, folks, there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. If you really enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments. As well, be sure to visit my social media pages, both on Facebook and Twitter. This is where I post info that, well, not belonging in a video, it's worth taking a look at. I would also like to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters. You folks are making a huge difference for me. If you like what I do and enjoy the community all of us humans are building, please consider supporting the mission via my Patreon page. There are quite a few options with varying levels of support. Maybe one of them will suit you. Links to all things in the video description. Alright folks, thanks very much for stopping by and watching. I'll catch you next time.